Last Tuesday morning, I watched my former mother-in-law scrubbing toilets at the Hilton where I'd just finished a keynote speech on financial fraud prevention. She was wearing a cleaning company uniform 2 sizes too big, her hands raw and red from chemicals. Eleanor Collins, the woman who once refused to let me sit at her dining room table because I hadn't given the family any sons. She looked up. Our eyes met. 15 years, and I still recognized the face that had made my life hell for a decade. She stumbled toward me, her voice shaking. Margaret, is that really you? Please, I need to talk to you about Richard, about our son. He needs... I cut her off, my voice ice. I'm sorry, I don't know anyone named Richard. And I certainly don't have time for people who once told me I was worthless because I only had a daughter. My daughter Sarah touched my elbow. Mom, we need to get to the car. Your next meeting's in an hour. Sarah's now a corporate attorney. She was standing there in a tailored suit that cost more than Eleanor probably made in a month. We walked past Eleanor without looking back. In the car, Sarah squeezed my hand. You okay, Mom? You know what? I really am. And I meant it. But to understand how I got here, how I went from a woman drowning in $500,000 of fraudulent debt to standing in that hotel lobby as a successful business owner watching my former tormentor beg for mercy, I need to back up 15 years. Actually, let me go back 25 years to when I was 25 and stupid enough to believe in fairy tales. I met Richard at a friend's barbecue. He was a mid-level manager at a manufacturing company, drove a decent car, seemed stable. Not exciting, but solid. We dated for 8 months before he proposed. His mother, Eleanor, seemed lovely at first. She hugged me, called me the daughter she never had, talked about how excited she was for grandchildren. The wedding was small but nice. Richard's family paid for most of it, which I thought was generous. I should have seen it as the down payment on ownership. The first year was fine. I worked as a bookkeeper at a small accounting firm. Richard worked his corporate job. We had a little house in Parma, a working-class suburb outside Cleveland. Nothing fancy, but it was ours. Then I got pregnant. Sarah was born when I was 26. A healthy, beautiful baby girl. Eleanor's first words when she saw her granddaughter. Well, she's healthy at least. You'll have better luck next time. Richard needs a son to carry on the family name. My doctor told me after the delivery that I shouldn't have more children. Complications, risk to my health. When I told Richard, he held my hand and said all the right things. Sarah's perfect. That's all we need. But Eleanor? Her smile disappeared. From that day forward, I wasn't Richard's wife. I was the woman who'd failed her only mission. Still, I tried. God, how I tried. I made every Thanksgiving dinner from scratch. I showed up to every family gathering. When Richard's younger brother Tom needed a co-signer for a business loan, I said yes when Richard asked me to help. That's when it started. The real trap. Margaret, honey, I need to ask you something. Eleanor called me one afternoon when Sarah was 2. Tom's got this amazing investment opportunity. Real estate rental properties. But the bank needs someone with good credit to co-sign. Just a formality. You won't have to pay anything. I don't know, Eleanor. That sounds risky. It's family, dear. Family helps family. Besides, Richard already said you'd do it. That should have been my first warning. Richard had already agreed without asking me. I signed one property, $75,000. Just for 6 months, they promised, until Tom's business takes off. 6 months became a year. A year became 2 years. Then Eleanor asked again. Tom needs to expand. Just one more property. You won't even notice it. I said no. Richard came home that night with flowers and Eleanor's disappointed voice on speakerphone. I thought you were family, Margaret. I guess I was wrong about you. I signed again. Another $80,000. By year 5 of my marriage, I'd co-signed for 4 properties. Total value, about $300,000. I didn't think much of it. The payments were always made on time. I got the bank statements, everything looked fine. What I didn't know was that Richard had my online banking passwords. I'd given them to him years earlier when he said he was helping organize our finances. He was helping organize something. All right. Year 7, Sarah was starting second grade. That's when I started noticing things. Richard working late more often. Phone calls he'd take in another room. Eleanor's sudden coolness when I'd bring Sarah to visit. "She's so quiet," Eleanor would say about Sarah, while Richard's brother's boys ran wild through the house. Boys have so much more energy. Such a shame. Richard only has a daughter. I'd grit my teeth and smile. Keep the peace. That's what I'd learned to do. The real cracks showed at Thanksgiving that year. Tom's family got prime rib. Richard's other brother got new furniture as a housewarming gift from Eleanor. Sarah got a $10 gift card to Target for her birthday. Tom's boys each got $50. Sarah notes. She was 7 years old and she noticed, "Mom, why does Grandma Eleanor like the boys more than me?" My heart broke. "She doesn't, honey. She's just traditional." She told Aunt Carol, "I'm a disappointment because I'm not a boy." "She said that to you?" "No, I heard her on the phone. I was in the bathroom. I should have left then, but I didn't. I stayed because I thought I was protecting Sarah, keeping the family together, being the bigger person. I was actually just being a fool." Year 9, I found out about Crystal. Richard had been volunteering at Sarah's school. So had Crystal, another parent. I came to pick Sarah up early one day and saw them in the parking lot, sitting in his car. Her hand on his knee, his hand covering hers. I stood there watching for a full minute before Richard noticed me. The guilt on his face told me everything. That night, I confronted him. He denied, said I was paranoid. Said I was imagining things because I was insecure about not giving him a son. That exact phrase, Eleanor's words coming out of his mouth. I almost left him then. Almost. But then Eleanor called me, crying. "Please don't break up our family over a misunderstanding. Richard loves you. He's just been stressed. Men sometimes need outlets." That's what my mother taught me. Good wives understand. Good wives understand that their husbands cheat. I stayed. I'm not proud of it, but I stayed. Year 10. The year everything fell apart. Richard came home on a Tuesday evening. Didn't even sit down. Just stood in our kitchen and said, "I want a divorce." I actually laughed. "What?" "I'm in love with someone else. Crystal and I are going to get married. I've already talked to a lawyer." The room spun. "You're serious?" "I'm moving out this weekend. You can keep the house." "What about the properties? The ones I co-signed for?" His face went blank. "Those are in your name. You're responsible for them." "But Tom was making the payments." "Tom hasn't made a payment in 3 years, Margaret." The floor dropped out from under me. "What?" "The bank's been sending notices to your email. Check your spam folder." I ran to my computer, opened my email, searched for the bank. There they were, dozens of notices. Payment overdue. Final notice. Default warning. Collections. Not 4 properties. 6 properties. Richard had forged my signature on 2 more using my online banking access. Total amount owed, $540,000. My hands were shaking so hard I could barely type. "Richard, I never signed for 6 properties. I never. Actually, you did. Your digital signature is on all of them. Legally binding. And since you're the primary borrower, you're responsible." He picked up his briefcase. "My lawyer says you'll probably have to declare bankruptcy." "Sorry about that. But hey, at least you'll keep the house. I'm being generous." He walked out. Just like that. 10 years of marriage. 10 years of playing the good wife, the good daughter-in-law, the good mother. And he walked out and left me with over $500,000 in debt I didn't know I had. I called Eleanor. Surely she'd help. Surely she'd tell Tom to fix this. Eleanor, did you know about the properties? About the debt? Her voice was cold. Tom told me you agreed to it. Family investment, he said. I never agreed to 6. And the payments, Margaret, you signed the papers. That's on you. And honestly, after 10 years of not giving my son any children who matter, maybe you owe this family something. Children who matter. She said it just like that. I hung up. I couldn't breathe. Sarah found me on the kitchen floor, hyperventilating. Mom? Mom, what's wrong? Your dad. We're getting divorced. Sarah was 9 years old. She wrapped her arms around me and said, Good. He's mean to you anyway. That night, I couldn't sleep. I kept going through the bank statements, the loan documents, trying to understand how this happened. 6 properties. Forged signatures. My credit destroyed. No way to pay. I was going to lose everything. The next morning, Sarah was playing on her tablet at breakfast. She'd been using it to message her friends, play games. Richard had set it up for her years ago on our family Apple account. Family Apple account. The thought hit me like lightning. If we were all on the same iCloud account, then Sarah's tablet might have backed up. I grabbed the tablet, went to settings. Cloud backup was on. Had been on for 4 years. My hands were shaking as I logged into iCloud on my laptop. Scrolled through the backups. Found text messages. 4 years of text messages automatically saved. I started reading. Richard to Eleanor 3 years earlier. Just got her to sign for property hash for. She doesn't even read what she signs anymore, lol. Eleanor to Richard. Perfect. Tom can cash out another $80K. That makes $300K total we've pulled from her credit. Keep going. Richard to Tom. How much more can we get before filing for divorce? Tom to Richard. Lawyer says we can get to $500K before it looks suspicious. Then you dump her, and she's stuck with it all. Richard to Crystal 1 year earlier. Once this divorce goes through and Margaret's credit is tanked, we can start fresh. $500K should be enough for your catering business. Eleanor to Richard's sister Carol. That stupid cow signed everything. Doesn't even have a son to show for it. When Richard dumps her, she deserves every penny of debt. I read for 3 hours. Message after message. A family conspiracy. They'd planned this for at least 3 years. Probably longer. Systematically destroying my credit, stealing my identity, planning to leave me bankrupt. All while I made their Thanksgiving dinners and smiled through their insults about my daughter. I called my boss, told him I needed time off. Then I called every divorce attorney in the phone book until I found one who'd see me that day. Linda Morrison, 60 years old, sharp as a knife, and she'd seen it all. I showed her everything. The messages, the bank statements, the loan documents with my forged signatures. Linda's face got harder with every page. Finally, she looked up at me. Margaret, this isn't just divorce. This is identity theft. This is fraud, criminal fraud. Can we prove it? With this? She held up my phone, showing the backed up messages. We can prove it, prosecute it, and send them all to prison. What do I do? First, we file for divorce and get a restraining order. Second, you file a police report for identity theft and fraud. Third, we sue them for every penny they stole, plus damages. This is a felony, Margaret. Multiple felonies. I felt something I hadn't felt in 10 years. Hope. How long will it take? Months. Maybe a year. But you'll win. This evidence is ironclad. Sarah spoke up from the corner where she'd been sitting quietly. Mom, you have to do it. They're bad people. They need to be punished. Linda looked at Sarah, then at me. Smart kid. She gets it from her mother, I said. And for the first time in a decade, I believed it. The next 6 months were war. I filed for divorce. Richard's lawyer tried to intimidate me, saying I'd agreed to the debt, that I'd have to pay it all. Linda filed the criminal complaint with the police. Suddenly, Richard's lawyer got very quiet. The police investigation took 4 months. They subpoenaed bank records, examined the loan documents, interviewed everyone involved. The text message backups were the smoking gun. Richard, Eleanor, and Tom were all arrested. Fraud, identity theft, conspiracy. The bail hearing was almost funny. Eleanor, who'd once worn Chanel suits to church, standing in an orange jumpsuit, begging the judge for mercy. The judge wasn't impressed. The trial took another year. Sarah testified about what she'd overheard. A forensic accountant testified that I couldn't have known about the forged signatures, that someone with my background in bookkeeping would never have agreed to such terrible loan terms. Richard's lawyer tried to argue it was a family misunderstanding. Linda stood up and read the text messages aloud in court. Every cruel word, every calculated theft, every insult about Sarah. The jury deliberated for 3 hours. Guilty. On all counts, Richard got 4 years in prison. Tom got 3 years. Eleanor got 2 years suspended sentence and 5 years probation due to her age, but she had to pay full restitution. The civil judgment, $650,000. The original debt plus $110,000 in damages and legal fees. They had to liquidate everything. The family home, Eleanor's retirement accounts, Tom's business, everything. I got 500 fees, null after legal fees. Enough to pay off all the fraudulent debt and have money left over. For the first time in 10 years, I was free. But I wasn't just free. I was angry, motivated. I'd spent a year learning about fraud, about the legal system, about how financial crimes work. I discovered I was good at it. At 40 years old, I enrolled in an accounting degree program. Took the CPA exam at 43. Passed on my second try. Started working for a small CPA firm, then a bigger one, specialized in fraud prevention and forensic accounting. By the time I was 45, I'd opened my own firm, Collins and Associates. Just me and 2 employees at first. But I had something other accountants didn't. I knew exactly how financial fraud felt from the victim's side. I understood the shame, the confusion, the fear. My clients were mostly women. Women whose husbands had hidden assets in divorce. Women whose business partners had embezzled. Women who needed someone who understood. The firm grew. 5 employees. 10. 15. Sarah went to Ohio State, then to law school. She'd watched what happened to me and decided she wanted to fight for people like us. She graduated top of her class. Got hired by a major firm in Cleveland. Now she's 25, same age I was when I married her father. But she's nothing like I was. She's strong, confident. She knows her worth. Last year, we bought a house together in Shaker Heights. Not a mansion, but nice. 3 bedrooms, a yard for Sarah's dog. My name on the deed. Mine. Which brings me to last Tuesday. The hotel. Eleanor scrubbing toilets. I'd heard through mutual acquaintances that Richard got out of prison 2 years ago. Couldn't find work. Living in a studio apartment. Crystal left him before he even got to trial. Tom's business collapsed. He declared bankruptcy. Last I heard, he was driving for a delivery service. Eleanor's retirement was gone. She'd lost her house in the civil judgment. She was living with Tom in his 1-bedroom apartment, working cleaning jobs to pay rent. I didn't seek out this information. I didn't care enough to look. People just told me they thought I'd want to know. The truth is, I didn't think about them much anymore. They were just people who'd once caused me pain. Past tense. But seeing Eleanor there in that hotel, begging me for help, that felt like justice. Not because I'd planned it. Not because I'd orchestrated their downfall. I didn't have to. I just had to build a good life. The universe handled the rest. That evening, Sarah and I had dinner at our favorite Italian place. She asked me the question I knew was coming. Do you ever feel bad about what happened to them? I thought about it, really thought about it. No, I said finally. They chose their path. They chose to steal from me, to humiliate me, to treat my daughter like she was worthless because she wasn't a boy. They chose that. I didn't make them criminals. I just refused to let them destroy me. Eleanor looked really desperate today. She made her choices. She could have stopped Richard and Tom. She encouraged them. She called me a cow in a text message. Sarah. She said you didn't matter because you weren't a boy. Sarah's jaw set. I remember. I don't owe them mercy they never showed me. I don't owe them the forgiveness they never asked for until they needed something. What I owe is to myself and to you, and we're doing pretty damn well. Sarah raised her wine glass. To doing damn well. I clinked my glass against hers. To doing damn well. The next week, I got a letter from Eleanor, handwritten, begging me to help, saying Richard was struggling, saying she was sorry, saying family should forgive. I read it once. Then I put it through my office shredder. Sarah saw me do it. Good, she said. Good, I agreed. Here's what I learned, and what I want you to understand. Revenge isn't something you do. It's something you live. I didn't destroy Richard, Eleanor, and Tom. They destroyed themselves. I just refused to go down with them. I built a life. I became successful. I raised an incredible daughter. I found peace. And that success, that peace, that life, that was the revenge. Not because it hurt them. I genuinely don't care if it hurts them or not. But because it proved they were wrong about me. Wrong about my daughter. Wrong about everything. They thought I was weak. They thought I'd crumble. They thought a woman without sons was worthless. They were wrong. So if you're out there and someone's trying to break you, trying to use you, trying to convince you that you're less than you are, remember this. The best revenge is living well. Not talking about living well. Actually doing it. Build your life. Protect yourself. Document everything. Trust your instincts. And when the time comes to fight, fight smart, not emotional. I didn't win because I was cruel. I won because I was careful. Because I had evidence. Because I asked for help from people who knew better than me. You can do the same. And 15 years from now, maybe you'll be standing in a hotel lobby, successful and strong, while the people who tried to break you are cleaning the bathrooms. Maybe you'll feel sorry for them. Maybe you won't. But either way, you'll be free. And that's all that matters.